In a world where legends rise and fall with every punch, where the roar of the crowd fades, but the stories live on. This is where those stories are told. This is Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. From the blood, the sweat, and the glory, to the controversies, comebacks, and knockouts, we go behind the ring, no fluff, no hype, and definitely no BS. Just the truth behind the fight game. And we've been doing it for over 2 decades. A podcast pioneer, now a Hall of Famer.
Great. What's that ego gonna be like?
And next, the comeback kid.
Wait, isn't he like 90 or something?
Shut up, he'll hear you. The reigning, defending, undisputed, heavyweight champion of boxing broadcasting. It's Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. And it's on now.
And we're coming to you live from the Billy C Studios in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calogero, and it's time for the Billy C Show. Good morning, good day, good evening, whenever you're watching, whenever you're listening. I hope you're doing okay today. Today's show, She's a Being brought to you part by, you guessed it, anybody that's watching this show for any length of time knows that I'm hawking my book. Get yourself a copy. Tom Molyneux, From Bondage to Better Spin on the Planet, is available right now where all good books are sold. You can get it up on Amazon. Or I tell you what, we got a special going on. I think it's $12 a copy, which is substantial discount from what I guess. Just visit BillyCBoxing.com and click on the book. It'll take you right to the link with the special pricing, and you can buy as many as you want. Hey, the holidays are coming up, so, Hey, listen, we got a busy show for you today, as usual. Jake Paul against Tank Davis. That WWE / pro boxing. I guess it's going to be an exhibition. You know the fight you've been hearing about. Well, it's getting closer, and I got some thoughts on it. And if you're watching from any of the platforms we're broadcasting live on right now, come on over to the YouTube chat room and give me your thoughts, and we'll chat about that. Jake Paul against Tank Davis. It's coming up, fairly soon, another couple of weeks. So also coming up later, I am going to continue with my Billy C rankings, which I've been receiving a lot of emails on it. And I'll tell you, I got when we go over it a little bit later, which today we're going to give you the light heavyweight. The top 12, as I see it, in the light heavyweight division. And I got something else I'm going to announce when I do that a little bit later. I'm also going to give you a full breakdown and my predictions of 2 fights that have taken place this weekend that I like in the light heavyweight division. Joshua Buatsi is taking on Zach Parker, which I really like the matchup. I think it's going to be a good fight. And also in the heavyweight division, it's a matchup between Cuban prospect Lenier Pero going up against Jordan Thompson. So I'll give you my thoughts on that, predictions, all of that stuff. As you know, I'm going to be ringside November 1st, Saturday, at Mohegan Sun. CES Boxing was putting on a great card, and I can't wait to be there. See Rashidi Speedy Ellis. Is the main event. If you're going to be there, make sure you say hello, man. I'll be down, I'll be close to the ring, I'm sure. So come on over, say hello. And you won't miss me. I'll be wearing Talking Boxing stuff, But anyway, I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. This week's scheduled guest is former heavyweight and currently one of the boxing's hardest working promoters. I'm continuing my grassroots promoter campaign. And this cat is definitely a grassroots promoter, and that's Bobby Hitz from Hitz Boxing. But first, let's talk about the big fight that I was wrong about. Fabio Wardley took on Joseph Parker in the heavyweight division last weekend, and it was a good fight. I thought it was a good fight. I've gotten some conflicting messages, whether it be email or through social media. Some people felt that the fight wasn't as good as the announcing team was making it, but I thought it was a pretty good fight. I was shocked. I mean, in case you missed it, Wardley won by technical knockout, 154 of the 11th round of a Schedule 12, stopped Joseph Parker. Fabio Wardley improves to 20 wins, no losses, and a draw, with 19 of his wins coming by knockout. And Joseph Parker, who arguably has faced probably the toughest opposition you can make an argument for in the heavyweight division. He drops at 36-4 with 24 of his wins coming by way of knockout. Give a shout out to my man Coach, who just popped into the room. He'll keep me straight, and I'm sure he'll have some questions for Bobby Hitz when Bobby comes on a little bit later. But right after the fight, now I don't know if you saw the fight, but it was a pretty action-packed fight, I thought. And there were times when I thought that each of them got each other in trouble. I saw Wardley in trouble a couple of times, and I saw Joseph Parker in trouble a couple of times. A lot of complaints about the stoppage. People feel that the fight was stopped prematurely. I don't think the fight was stopped prematurely. The 10th round, it looked like Parker was going to go down in that round. He took some hellacious shots from Wardley. Credit to Wardley for having the gas to continue the onslaught. And then, in the 11th round, Fabio picked up where he left off. And towards the end of the round, I mean, you could make an argument that, at that time, at the official stoppage at close to the end of the round, that the referee could have let it continue, but I think it was inevitable that Joseph Parker was going to go down. I mean, it seemed like he was spent. I look at it realistically in one of two ways. I feel, and this first way, I feel is pretty slim, because I feel Joseph Parker is the ultimate professional. But I feel that either Joseph Parker took Wardley lightly, which I could see why he did. I mean, Fabio Wardley has 21 fights in his life. He never fought in the amateurs either, So, coach is saying no premature stoppage. Parker failed a rope-a-dope at best. Yeah, I don't think he was trying to do it. And coach is also making a comment that he feels that referee Howard Foster is a pretty good referee. And I can't argue with the stoppage, and I can't argue with coach on his thoughts on Foster. But I like I was starting to say, I think that either Joseph Parker took Wardley lightly, which I certainly did. I didn't give Wardley much of a chance, or, and this is probably more realistic, or the mileage on Joseph Parker finally caught up to him. When you start looking at the resume and who he's fought, some of those battles where he took some shots, got up off the canvas against Zong, the lights out puncher, and ended up winning the fight against him. Maybe it all just caught up with him on Saturday night and resulted in the loss. I don't think we've seen the last of Joseph Parker. I think he's got one more run left in him. I haven't heard anything about it either way. But we heard a lot from Wardley. Wardley said after the fight, and I quote, I don't know how, but I put that one fighting Usyk, into words. He's saying he doesn't know how he puts that fight, because he's calling out Usyk. He says, that's been the goal for a number of years now. It's been everything I wanted. We're there. It's a wild one to say, but one of the generational talents, one of the best ever to do it for all the marbles. He's talking about Usyk, by the way, not himself. There's nothing more I could want within this sport. I'm not planning on getting in the ring with Usyk and going, thanks for having me, and rolling over. When that bell goes, he's going to have to work for the fight. I think I'd like to go overseas, something different, maybe America. Ultimately, it could be back here in the Garden. He's talking about the location that he fought Parker. He says, give him the directions. I'll give him my postcode, and we could do it in the Garden. As long as he's there, bring his belts. Let's get it on. His promoter, Frank Warren, said, I think it'll be sometime in March. He's talking about the fight with Usyk. He thinks it's going to happen sometime in March. He says, I'd love it to be in the UK. There's really only two places for it, either the UK or Riyadh, which is Saudi Arabia. He said that would sell out Wembley. You know what you're getting with Usyk, and you know what you're getting with Fabio. It's going to be an exciting fight. This fella regarding Wardley, it's got to be one of the most exciting fighters in the world. He's a devastating fighter. Look, I like Wardley. I love Frank Warren. I think we're overreacting, boys and girls. He got the best win of his career. There's nothing you can argue about that. But to be honest with you, I thought, and again, this was me assuming, and you know what they say about that, but this was me assuming that Joseph Parker was going to win the fight. I thought Joseph Parker was the best opponent for Usyk. I thought that personally, I don't want to see another Fury fight. What are you going to do? Put AJ back in there with him? I mean, who's he going to fight? He was talking about maybe going down in weight, back into the cruiserweight division and clean that one up again. But then he said he wanted to retire at 41, so maybe he's only got one or two fights left. So the question is who, right? Is he going to take an easy way? I don't think Usyk is that kind of a fighter. I don't think he's going to look for just, some contenders to fight, just to say he fought him. I think Usyk is one of these rare cats that want to prove himself. He's done it since he went to the heavyweight division, similar to what Terence Crawford did to Canelo. I think Usyk prides himself on challenging himself. I really don't think he's looking for an easy fight. No disrespect to Wardley, but I don't think Wardley's ready for it. Now, after his win, for me, it's become a tough call because, it's always, everybody always talks about, you're basing fights on the guy who beat the guy. But when you look at these resumes, the best heavyweight, who has beat the best heavyweights and contenders isn't Wardley. I mean, like I said, I thought it was definitely going to be Joseph Parker, but it's not Wardley. I'm going to tell you who it is. But when you look at Wardley, he's got no amateur experience, 21 professional fights, 19 come by knockout, 20 wins, 21 professional fights. He's got one draw against Clark. His biggest win of his career, I mean, I don't think anybody could argue that his biggest win of his career was against Joseph Parker this past weekend. He beat Justice Hunai, who was currently ranked number 13 by the WBA. He stopped him in 10 rounds of a scheduled 12-round fight. He beat Frazier Clark once, annihilated him in one round. He had a draw with Frazier Clark. And then the only other win on his 21-fight resume that you really is David Adderley, who he fought in 2023. I mean, really, that's it. Who do I think should fight Usyk next? Well, the best heavyweight, based now that Parker's out of the mix, and you could make the argument, like I just said, the guy who beat the guy. So, I mean, I thought Parker would be the guy to fight Usyk, so now Wardley beat Parker. But here's the thing. There's another heavyweight out there that's been busting his behind, and he's been fighting big fights, and he's been winning. And his name is AJ KBL. AJ KBL is 26-0 with 18 knockouts out of Germany. All right. You look at this cat's resume, and it's pretty good. I mean, you go back to 2017 when he beat Derek Chisora. He's been on a tear ever since. He beat Andre Rudenko. He beat Kevin Johnson. Now, Kevin Johnson, his record doesn't look impressive at this point anymore. 35 when he fought a KBL, he was 35-17-1. But he's a tough out. I believe he's only been stopped once in his career. He got a win over him, a decision. He also beat Agron Samaki, who was 19-1. He stopped him for the European title in 2023. He fought Makhmudov. I can never pronounce that guy's name, that big crusher, the guy that was supposed to annihilate him, who was top ranked, and he handed him his first loss. He was undefeated going into that fight at 18-0. And then he followed that with a fight against Frank Sanchez. Now, granted, Frank Sanchez maybe shouldn't have gotten in the ring that night because of his leg, his knee. He couldn't move around. But nonetheless, not only did KBL beat him, he stopped him in the 7th round. Then he steps in, and beats Zili Zhang by knockout in the 6th round. I mean, he jumped all over him earlier this year. So, I mean, this is a guy that people keep kicking to the curb. But really, when you look at the heavyweight division and you say to yourself, okay, who deserves to fight Usyk? It's got to be this guy. Or at the very least, how about having Wardley fight KBL? And then the winner goes on to fight Usyk. I mean, that's the way it should be. Truthfully, I mean, that's the right way to do it. It's just, I was talking about it earlier this week, and the truth of the matter is you can't just do that. Boxing can't just do this kind of thing where a guy like Wardley, and I'm no disrespect to Wardley, everybody knows, who's ever watched this show knows that I love the UK boxing scene, and I'm happy for Wardley, and I hope he can get a belt and become undisputed. I mean, I hope that happens. But, I feel for all the other fighters that have been busting their behinds in the gym, some of them for a couple of years waiting for their turn, winning the fights that they're supposed to win, traveling to other people's backyards and getting these W's like KBL has, and legitimately earning a shot. And then you deal with a guy like Wardley, who gets one big fight, and granted, it was a huge fight. Now he gets a fast track. Coach is saying, Hrgovic against Usyk. Filip Hrgovic is another one, but he lost that fight. He lost the fight. So Hrgovic against Wardley, maybe. Or Hrgovic against I like KBL against Wardley, and then the winner of that fights Usyk. Usyk has to fight the top guys, and I think he wants to fight the top guys. Ituma was calling out Usyk. He doesn't deserve a shot at Usyk. Ituma had one fight, and everybody's questioning that fight. How it went down. There's no one else on his resume that's impressive at all. Give my man Grievous a shout out. He just popped in the chat room, and he says he'd like to see KBL against Usyk. Look, in a perfect boxing world, you would have guys like KBL and Wardley fight each other, and then have the winner fight Usyk. Tyson Fury is talking about making a comeback. Then he says he's not. Then he says he is. Oh, then he says he's not. But he wants another shot at Usyk. Dubois wants another shot at you. They all want a shot at Usyk. Usyk is a fast track to a collection of belts. But let's be real. Usyk has done what he had to do. And now I believe that the right thing to do for the strength of boxing would be to have, a couple of these heavyweights battle it out, and we don't need to have a interim belt and it becomes the mandatory, because what happens is whoever the fighter's aligned with, all of a sudden they become a mandatory, and now a guy like Usyk, who has all the belts, has to say, well, which fight do I want that makes the most sense for me? So which belt am I going to have to give up? You know what I mean? Grievous is saying you can't jump the queue without earning it. But that's what has been happening, Grievous. That's the whole problem. You have an every weight division, not just the heavyweights, every weight division. That's what happens. These guys jump, they because why? Let's be real, because they have the money behind them. Wardley has Frank Warren, one of the top promoters in the sport, behind him. So I mean, they have the deals with the venues, they have the deals with sponsorships. It's all about the money. But if anybody really cared about the sport of boxing, you have to build it up. You have to have these fight offs, and you can't like Joseph Parker. He lost, right? Does that mean that we all say he's done, he's finished? He loses his value? Absolutely not. Whoever thinks that, I mean, the only person that could justify having Joe Parker, pack it in is Joseph Parker. I don't believe that, people should bail on him because he lost, especially losing a fight like this where he was a heavy favorite, But look, I'm a boxing purist. I'm probably, well, aside from all my viewers and listeners who are diehard boxing fans, most of them, we're hoping we get some new ones that learn a little about the sport. In order to keep it good, you got to have these guys fighting each other, but you can't have them risk their career for taking a chance and not coming up with the W. In this case, Joseph Parker, in a fight with Wardley against KBL. If Wardley should lose, that doesn't mean he's done. It just means he has a loss. Then he fights a couple other fights and he gets his shot. Same thing with KBL. If Wardley beats KBL, that changes everything for Wardley. Now it's hard to argue that, not only does he deserve a shot against Usyk, but he could conceivably, be ranked to fight anybody. He would be making more money if Usyk decided to retire or whatever. Coach is saying, how about a Super 6 styled Usyk mandatory challenger series? The thing is that is a great idea. I loved when they did the Super 6. And a lot of the reasons they didn't do it again was because it really forced these guys to fight each other, which was great for the sport. And ultimately, financially, I thought it was great for all of them. But Usyk isn't going to be around long enough. If I recall correctly, that Super 6 tournament took 2 years to complete. In 2 years, I think Usyk is done. He doesn't want to fight anymore. He said recently 41 was it. So either way, we have some decent heavyweights out there. I happen to have my I thought I had it. Oh yeah, I happen to have my Billy C rankings right here. KBL is my number 2 guy behind Usyk anyway. We're gonna have to change. Number 3 was Parker, but who else deserves a shot? My top 12 was Usyk, KBL, Parker, Dubois, Hrgovic, Fury, AJ, Jared Anderson, Frank Sanchez, Ituma. I put Jarrell Miller in there. A lot of you guys disagreed with me with that. And then I had Wardley and Lawrence Oakley tied at 12. So obviously Wardley's moving up when I do the heavyweights again. But really, age at KBL and like Coach says, Philip Hrgovic, they're the only ones that haven't been beaten by Usyk. I mean, Dubois has, and Fury has, and Joshua has, and the other guys aren't ready. So, in my opinion, I would like to see KBL take on Wardley and have the winner immediately fight Usyk for all the marbles. That's my thoughts. Hey, if you have a thought on that, let me know. Drop me an email, reach out to me on social media. I'll communicate with you one-on-one, or we'll make it part of the show. And if you're watching the show right now, because I know we're on multiple platforms at once here, come on over to the chat room on YouTube and voice your opinion. I'll talk about it on air. Speaking of talking about on air, I'm into this bare-knuckle boxing all of a sudden, which shocks me because I never really cared much for it, but I kind of like it. And the bare-knuckle boxing, BKB, is scheduled to have another big night. This one's in Florida. I wish I could be there. Maybe I will. 4 title fights, but the one that really intrigues me, Grievous is saying, I don't mean to change subject. Grievous is saying, can't see Wardley risk a fight with KBL, but that's the problem. You see, that's the problem with boxing. Nobody wants to risk anything. It's all about, keeping his O intact and, trying to sell that. So they're going to sell his big win over Parker as being his legitimacy, his credentials to fight Usyk. And I just believe that you need more than that. You need more than one good lucky night. And I'm not saying I shouldn't use the word lucky, but he was the best fighter that night. Is he the best fighter if he fought Joseph Parker again next month? Does he knock him out again? I don't know. But, he doesn't deserve in my opinion, Fabio Wardley, as much as I like him and as much as a fan I am of him, in my opinion, he does not deserve a fast track to Alexander Usyk for all the marbles without fighting a KBL or, like Coach mentioned before, what's his name? Oh, God, I'm going blank here. Coach, you just said it. The kid, what's his name? Hergovic. Sorry, fellas and ladies. Sorry about that. If Wardley beats Hergovic or KBL, then yes, you can't stand in his way. But back to the bare knuckles, November 22nd. It's BKB 48, 4 championship fights. But the one I'm intrigued with is the main event where the current BKB heavyweight world champion, Gustavo Trujillo, the Cuban assassin, who's 7-0 with 7 knockouts in bare-knuckle boxing fights, is taking on former WBA heavyweight champion Lucas Big Daddy Brown, who's 31 wins, 7 losses, 27 coming by knockout in his boxing career. And in his bare-knuckle boxing, he's 1-0. My thoughts on that, I think he's in his 40s. So I don't know, but they're exciting. So I'm looking forward to that one. Bare knuckle boxing, brutal stuff, man, brutal stuff. Anyway, in some boxing news, former world title challenger, super middleweight Darius Fulgham is heading back to the ring. He's going to be fighting David Stevens next week, November 8th. It'll be on DAZN. He's only lost once, and he's 14-1 with 12 knockouts. Stevens is 15-2 with 10 knockouts. So we will see what happens. If you recall, he challenged Bektomir Mekhlikazov, who's 16-1, the world champ, the WBA world champ, and he lost a real close decision against him. 114-112 is the way all 3 judges saw it. Give my man Joel a shout out. It's doing well, Joel. I hope you're doing well. Thanks for popping in. Good fight to check out, definitely next weekend. And speaking about a good fight, I've been talking about it, and give a shout out to the unofficial official who's in the chat room right now. He's in the house. Good afternoon to you too, my man. I told you guys, if you're going to be in the Connecticut area, Mohegan Sun, this Saturday, November 1st, CES Boxing is putting on a fantastic card. We had Rashidi Speedy Ellis on. He's the main event, and he's taking on Javier Fortuna, former world champion. And Fortuna is taking this fight very seriously. He's not looking at just going in there for a paycheck. They asked him, how do you feel about this? You're going into Speedy Ellis's backyard. Speedy obviously is known for his quickness. He was on the show last week and he came out and flat told us that he's been working a lot on his punching power, and it shows. He's won his last couple of fights by knockout. And Fortuna said, and I quote, just ask Rashidi if he's ever fought anybody like me before. He said, he's a good fighter, but he's never fought anyone like me. A win opens the doors for me again. More opportunities. I don't care about fighting him on his promoter's card and in his backyard. I don't care what he does. I'm going to take him to school with all the experience I have. I've never seen anybody he's fought other than Roca. I'm going to win on Saturday in spectacular fashion. He's being trained now by Mike Reyes in Massachusetts, and Reyes added, Javier is going to step in the ring against a long-tenured prospect. He says, but the last thing a fighter loses is his power. Javier has always had his power. He's comfortable fighting at 147. Rashidi's chin is questionable, and he's going to be hit. Rashidi is the bigger guy, but Javier is going to take him into deep waters and get a win. It's an intriguing matchup, and you got to be ringside to watch it. I'm going to be ringside to watch it. So make sure you guys show up there and say hello. And if you're wondering what I drink, just come over and I'll mention it to you. No, just come over and say hello. If you got a copy of my book, I'll sign it. If not, I don't think I'm going to have any copies with me, but we'll give you something. We'll have something. I'll be there with one of the producers. So we'll be there, and hopefully you will be there too. Get yourself some tickets, CESboxing.com. Coach is asking me, I'm just going to get into the Jake Paul stuff now, but Coach is asking me in the chat room, what's my thoughts on Virgil Ortiz Jr. fighting Erickson the Ortiz Jr. versus Erickson Lubin winner for Crawford. First of all, I had the luxury of calling Lubin's fight when he was an amateur. To fight the Florida Championships just prior to him going to the Nationals in Vegas. So I've seen Erickson fight a few times, not only live as an amateur, but also live as a pro. And I think they rushed him a little bit. I think Ortiz is going to win the fight. At least that's what my prediction is at this particular moment. As far as the winner taking on Crawford, I don't think – It depends what Crawford wants to do. I don't think Crawford has any trouble with Ortiz or Erickson Lubin. I don't think he has any trouble with anybody in those weight classes. Look, the guy moved up and he fought Canelo Alvarez, the name in boxing, and he came out on top. What's the swan song? A rematch with Canelo makes financial sense. But fights with these other fighters don't make sense. Why does Crawford even have to continue? He made $10 million on that fight, and he's a guy that's been kind of frugal for his whole life. Technically, he could be set for life right now. So I don't know. But hey, he can make his own decision. I think if he wins, he's obviously going to make his own decision. But if he fights the winner of Virgil Ortiz and Erickson Lubin, that's just another W. And if he wanted to do something like that and really shut Mayweather up, he could, cherry pick 10 more fighters and end up with over 50 wins. So, all right. Tank Davis is fighting Jake Paul. This fight's coming up. It's taking place Friday, November 14th, 2 weeks from this Friday. I've been trying to avoid it, boys and girls, but the truth of the matter is it's here. There's going to be some decent fights on the card. But as far as that fight goes, I've been talking to a lot of non-boxing purists. Grievous is saying Lubin can take punishment. Remember the Fundora fight? Yeah, I do. He does take punishment. He's probably going to take some punishment from Ortiz, and he'll definitely take punishment from Crawford. Maybe Crawford against Fundora, just because it's kind of a freak show with that guy because he's so tall. But anyway, back to Jake Paul, Tank Davis. I've been trying to avoid talking about this because when I have my boxing purist mentality, I hate it. I'll be honest, I hate it. I know that Tank Davis, I know for a fact, I've heard through a very reliable source that he's fed up with the sport of boxing. He's indicated that on social media, but a lot of times you don't know what to believe. But I talked to someone who knows him personally on very close. They're very close, and he said he's really sick of the sport and all the shenanigans that go on, and he does the shenanigans too. So, but this is his way in Tank Davis's mind. This is his way to cash out. He's going to walk away with, it's reported, $20 million, and he's done. And he wants to provide for his family and walk away. I can't argue with that. I mean, I'd fight Jake Paul for that as an old man. I would take a shot from Jake Paul, for $20 million. I'd do it for $5. I'd do it for $1. So, I mean, I get it, but when I put my boxing purist hat on, it makes me sick. This isn't. You guys have heard me talk a lot about. Well, of course, you've heard me talk a lot about the history of the sport of boxing. I feel I love talking about the history. We were just talking about, people have mentioned to me about Bert Sugar. I knew Bert personally. I was at a couple of events with him before. He was an idol of mine. And, I always loved watching Bert Sugar, talk about the historical aspects and all of this stuff. I mean, someone said that several people have said to me, hey, listen, you are the next Bert Sugar, meaning me. Well, I never would ever compare myself to the late, great Bert Sugar. But I think the older people could see it only because of, I talked the history, right? But today's fan doesn't care about Bert Sugar or someone like Bert Sugar. Bert Sugar was successful during the time he was around because we as fans loved Bert Sugar and we loved hearing about the historical fights and some of the fighters that you didn't hear about, and he would educate you on it. And it just seems that today's fighters don't care. Today's fans don't care about that. So therefore, a figure like Bert Sugar might not go over. So nobody cares about that. Coach is pointing out he was a great baseball fan too. Yeah, he was, and he loved cigars. But anyway, Jake Paul, Tank Davis. Here's just to look at some stats. All right, we'll be breaking this fight down, I'm sure. But we look at Tank Davis. He's 30-0 with a draw, 28 knockouts. Computer still has him ranked because his last fight was this year in March. He's 5'5.5", 8 inches shorter than Jake Paul. He's got a 67.5-inch reach, 11 inches shorter than Jake Paul. Jake Paul weighed in his last fight, he weighed 199.5 pounds. The fight before that, he fought Mike Tyson at 227.25. Tank Davis weighed over 135 pounds one time in 8 years. And that was when he weighed 139.75 against Mario Barrios back in June of 2021. Other than that, the guy's never weighed more than 135 pounds. in January, since January of 2023, he fought only 4 times, twice in 2023, once in 24, and then once this year in 2025. It's not like he's been super active. So you could see him, seemingly lose interest. And so many people gave him a real hard time with his last fight. Many people thought he lost that fight. It was a majority draw. Lamont Roach came to fight. And, Gervonta Davis, there was a couple of things in that fight. First and foremost, there should have been a knockdown when his glove hit the canvas that they did not call. And then his corner, if you recall, jumped up on the ring apron, which should have been a DQ right then. I mean, the fight should have never went to the scorecards, let alone, getting the draw, and coach is saying, yeah, they had to move the fight from Atlanta to Miami because the Georgia Commission wouldn't sanction the fight. It's not even going down as a real fight. It's an exhibition, and Georgia does do that. They have some funky rules in Georgia, and Florida. Look, I'm all about Florida. All right, I love the Florida Boxing Commission. I love everything about the boxing world in Florida. And they do this because they want, boxing to be in Florida. So, and they have special rules and all of that. So, you look at Jake Paul. We're talking about the two, and this isn't a serious breakdown, but we're looking at the two. And you look at Jake Paul, and Jake Paul. Look, I'm the guy that has constantly said, that Jake Paul isn't real, in my opinion, a real fighter. I mean, the guy's got 12 wins, 1 loss, 7 of the wins coming by knockout. His only loss, in my opinion, excluding Mike Tyson, was against the only fighter he fought, and that was Tommy Fury. And he lost that 8-round decision. He fought Nate Diaz. He fought all these older guys, a basketball player. I mean, yeah, he's got a 12, and the WBA even has him ranked. But he has so much height and reach advantage. If you think that it's going to be a real fight, you better think again, because there's no way it's going to be a real fight. I mean, look, when you go back in history and you look at a fight that to me kind of looks like this, when you look at the height differences and stuff, was Jack Johnson against the middleweight. Geez, it must be an age thing. I'm losing my mind. Coach, you got to bail me out here. I know it's going to pop in my head here, but the middleweight that was shot in the back. Anyway, he fought Jack Johnson, and that's the way it looked. The way Tank Davis and Jake Paul are going to look. I keep thinking Langford. I know it's not. Thank you, Coach Stanley Ketchel. When Ketchel fought Jack Johnson, when you looked at the photos and you look at the video, it's going to be similar to Jake Paul. It's tough getting old. I mean, Coach is even older than me, and thank God he's right in front of wherever. And I, on the fly, I couldn't even think of Stanley Ketchel's name. He's actually one of my favorite middleweights. The poor guy was heading towards a career that would probably never be, no one could have compared with it. And then he gets shot in his 20s because he was having a little too much fun with somebody else's wife. But anyway, that particular fight also started out as supposed to be an exhibition, and Stanley Ketchel had a mean streak in him, and he went to try to knock Jack Johnson out, knocked Johnson down, and Johnson got up and destroyed Stanley Ketchel after that. But I don't think we're going to see that with Jake Paul and Tank Davis. I just don't think it's going to happen. I don't know if you've seen some of these press, things that they've had. They've had some square offs, face offs. They've had, some media where they're talking and it to me, it looks really like it's all predetermined what they're going to say, what they're going to do, how they're going to act. And it's so comical to me because I see Tank Davis smiling and laughing. I played the clip on here. Let me see if I still have it of him kissing him. Let me see if I still have it. I'm pretty sure I do. Where they were in the here. This is what it was. Look. This was a face off, and they're kissing each other on the lips. Now, Tank Davis, he's not. I would have never thought he would agree to doing that, but I guess 20 million reasons. I've had people do a lot of crazy stuff, Look, it's a money grab. It's going to be on Netflix. We're going to see a lot of people watching it. There's a lot of people that want to see it. There's people this guy, Jake Paul, he's a phenomenal promoter, Yeah, Grievous, both Coach and Grievous saying it's scripted, Of course it's scripted. And if you've been looking at some of the stuff, you see Tank Davis laughing. He's smiling. It's comical. It really is. It's you look at it and you say to yourself, what's going on? What happened? What happened to the sport? It's getting close. So people have to start. Like Coach is saying right here in the chat room, it's the WWE fans. Well, don't you think that boxing Coach has been, look, I'll be the first to tell you, Coach has been saying this in our chat room, in emails to me many, many times that, boxing is becoming the WWE. And it's certainly, this kind of stuff looks like it. Mike Tyson against Jake Paul looks like it. When Tyson fought Roy Jones, looks like it. The yelling and screaming type of commentating we have now, that's WWE. And before that, WWF, Mean Gene Oakland, come on. That's the way it was. So is that what's happened? Is the fan base from the WWE, are they now boxing? Are the company, what is it, Knockout Promotions, TKO Promotions, whatever the company is that owns the UFC and the WWE, are they going to own boxing too? Is it going to be a interchangeable sports? Are they going to become 3 interchangeable sports? Coach is throwing in, the number 50th win for Mayweather against McGregor. To me, Mayweather got his 50th win, which really means nothing for anybody but heavyweights. But nonetheless, he got it against a guy that we all knew. Anybody that knew boxing knew that McGregor wasn't going to beat Floyd Mayweather, but the UFC fans did. And, I even have non-boxing fans tell me all the time, well, his game was stand-up. Oh, he trains as a boxer, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay, well, fight a regular boxer, not Floyd Mayweather. Look, I'm not a Mayweather fan at all. Anybody that watches or listens to this show knows that. But you got to give credit where credit's due. Mayweather wasn't going to lose to McGregor, it's a circus. The WWE has infiltrated the sport of boxing, and we're seeing it. I give Jake Paul tons of credit for being a great promoter, but as far as as far as, being a real fighter, I don't know. So I've been breaking down and giving you my top 12 rankings. And if you're new to the show or if you missed it, I'm going to give you every weight class. But wait, I'm only doing 9. I'm not doing all the 20 of them that they have. I'm doing 9. I'm doing the original 8, plus I added the cruiserweight division because I feel that division, in today's world, the way humans are, we need that division. Anyway, I already did the heavyweights. I did the cruiserweights. Now I'm going to give you my top 12 light heavyweights. And by the way, when I'm done with all of them, I will be updating them on a monthly basis. And if you want to get on the list to get my 9 weight class rankings every month, drop me an email. Billy at Talkin Boxing, TalkinBoxing, or you can send it to Bill at Billy C Boxing, and just in the subject write Billy C rankings, and send me an email saying you want to get put on a list, and I'll put you on the list. And when we're all done going over them, and I start updating them on a monthly basis, I will send them to you so you guys have them as well. So my light heavyweights, my top 12 goes something like this. Dmitry Bivol is number 1. I mean, you can't not have him number 1, right? From Russia, Dmitry Bivol. Now, I added this. I'm mentioning where the fighters are from. This is where they're fighting out of now. Some of these guys have relocated, as you'll see in the next one here. But I'm giving them props to where they're fighting out of now. So my number 1 light heavyweight, Dmitry Bivol, out of Russia. My number 2 light heavyweight, Artur Beterbiev, fighting out of Canada now, by way of Russia. Number 3 is David Benavidez. I'm critical of Benavidez in terms of his actual boxing talent. I know he's a banger. I know he's big. I know he's strong, but he really doesn't have great footwork. And I could rip him apart and tell you all the holes I believe he has. But when all is said and done, I got him as my number 3 light heavyweight in the world. So he's number 3. Now here, you guys might be shocked at my number 4 guy, because my number 4 guy actually lost to David Benavidez. But to be honest with you, he had, in my opinion, more pure boxing talent than David Benavidez. But he just didn't have the experience and didn't have the power because Benavidez is so big. And, of course, I'm talking about David Morrell Jr. out of Cuba. He has fought since the Benavidez fight and won. So he's my number 4. My number 5 is Callum Smith. Callum Smith, he's still alive, meaning, he's still there. So don't be surprised if, he doesn't get a shot at moving up. And, I think he's in his last leg in terms of, how much further he can go. He's already been a world champion, et cetera. But David Morrell is ahead of him on my ranking. So I got Callum Smith at number 5 out of England. Number 6 is Albert Ramirez out of Venezuela. He's my number 6 light heavyweight. This one might surprise you guys at number 7 because this guy happens to be fighting David Benavidez next, and I'm talking about Anthony Yarde, who fights out of England. And Yarde, here's the thing about Yarde. He's a typical guy that has a little too much muscle mass. So I hope it doesn't drain him against Benavidez, because he's going to need it all. And Benavidez is the kind of fighter that drains you anyway out of energy because of his size. But I got Yarde at number 7. At number 8, I got a guy who's fighting this weekend, who fights out of England, Joshua Butasi. He's my number 8 light heavyweight. My number 9, fighting out of Australia, and I think by way of Russia too, but fighting out of Australia, Imam Katiav. He's my number 9 light heavyweight. Still fighting and still being competitive is my number 10 guy out of the Ukraine, Oleksandr Vodzik. He's my number 10 light heavyweight. My number 11 light heavyweight is Ali Lizmalov, who fights out of Russia. And my 12th and final light heavyweight is Malik Zinad, a Liberian fighter. So those are my rankings for the light heavyweight division. Wonder what you guys think of them. But again, if you want to get put on the list, I will send them when we're all done, because the next one obviously is going to be the middleweight division. Now, the divisions going forward will be the middleweight division, the welterweight division, the lightweight division, the featherweight division, and the bantamweight division, and then the flyweights. That's it. So those are going to be a little more tricky because I'm going to be combining the weight classes. Like, for example, I'll be combining the middleweight and super middleweight, and the welterweight and junior welterweight. So I'll be combining them that way, not the other way, where like a super welterweight, which is junior middleweight. So these next ones are going to be challenging. So it'll be interesting to see what shakes out. Coach is saying no comparison. Late 70s, early 80s, Victor Galindez, James Scott, Marvin Johnson, Carlos De Leon, Yaki Lopez, John Conta, Matthew Saad Muhammad, Mike Rossman, Marvin Johnson, and Michael Spinks. Hey, listen, we were talking about, Carlos De Leon and Marvin Johnson as cruiserweights too. Yaki Lopez, one of the greatest light heavyweights of all time. We mentioned Carlos De Leon. James Scott. Look, I loved James Scott. He was such a intimidating guy. If you guys that are watching or listening don't know who James Scott was, well, James Scott was in Rawway prison, and he was a kind of a career criminal. He was doing time for murder, and he took up boxing. And they started showing some of his fights on regular television, network television, from the prison, and it was great stuff. And he won a couple of fights. Then he lost. When he lost to, I believe he lost to Matthew Saad Muhammad, was the end of him, or it could have been Yaki Lopez. I know he fought both of them, but in any event, when he got out of jail. We were real close to having him on the show. I reached out, but I ended up speaking with his brother, and James Scott was not. Yeah, you're right. He was on Wild World of Sports a lot too. He did 500. Coach is saying I remember watching him do 500 sit-ups, and he thinks it was on Wild World of Sports. But anyway, I was trying to get James Scott on, and I spoke with his brother, and when he was let out of jail, he was suffering from dementia, and it was he didn't think that he could last for the show, and we were going to have his brother come on and talk about his career, and it kind of just fizzled out. So that was what happened, and he since then passed away. It was like Ron Lyle. I had Ron Lyle. Great heavyweight contender during Muhammad Ali's times. Another guy that turned his life around, got into boxing in jail. I'll never forget seeing Ron Lyle the first time on TV. I mean, this guy looked like Adonis. He was chiseled, similar to Ernie Shavers. He had a great power, but, he had a suspect chin. It was his weakness. and I believe that if he fought today, he would definitely be a world champion. But he had the unfortunate thing of being around in probably, many people can argue, one of the best times for the heavyweight division, and that, of course, is in the 70s. But he was also a great fighter, and he had been on this show a couple of times, and I still have it sitting in on my desk over there. My studio here is divided into two. I have a desk over there, and here's the studio. But I had it all set up for him to come on again, and then he passed away unexpectedly. And I was thinking of doing a book on him, but anyway, Coach is saying Lyle was stabbed in prison, woke up, and was shocked. First thing he saw was a white guy, and he said he thought he had gone to hell. He hated white guys. That was the sheriff that Coach is talking about, who later, Ron Lyle said that if it wasn't for him, he probably would have been dead. He would have never made it out of prison. I forget that sheriff's name, but he helped turn Ron Lyle's life around, which is always good to hear, especially from guys that turn, from negative to positive. And like Coach is saying here in the chat room, he introduced him to boxing. Yeah, he did. He was half dead on that table from the stab. I didn't realize that they had a book on Ron Lyle out, Coach. Do you know who wrote it? Because I didn't think there was one out. That's why I started doing a little stuff to do a book on him. And I'm getting antsy. I want to do another book, and this time I'm gonna do one that's more literary, correct. My book about Tom Molyneux is a great story, and everyone that I've talked to that read it, all say the same thing. It's real good. The descriptions of the fights are really, really good. I mean, I'm not just saying it because I wrote it, but the truth of the matter is when you read the book, and I wrote it this way on purpose, it makes you I do a pretty damn good job making you feel like you're sitting there watching the fight, and the descriptions and everything. And that's what took so long to get. The research was, there wasn't many people covering fights during Tom Molyneux's time. He fought the world title in 1810. Coach is saying, yeah, do another book, please. Then you'll need 79 more to catch up to Bert Sugar. I never said I was trying to be Bert Sugar. I just said that, people think that I could take that role on as far from a historical, with a character sitting there, with my bald head and with a scotch in my hand talking about boxing, But I just don't think the young fans give a rat's ass about Billy C. or the history of the sport. But anyway, I was trying to think of, who to do a book on, and I am fascinated by the bare knuckle era, especially during that time. It for sure. I love that. There's some other fighters that I had, thought about writing about. So we'll see. I've also thought about doing something, about boxing in general. I also thought about potentially putting a lot of articles that I've written over the last, 3 decades all together in a book. Some of them are good. Some of them are just ringside reports. But nonetheless, it is what it is. But yeah, so I am contemplating doing that. Time will tell, right? We'll have to see what happens with all of that stuff. But in any event, Now,
Insight, edge, and no pulled punches. This is Billy C's fight previews and predictions.
I can't help it, but I kind of like those little intros that the infamous Jeremy C created for me. But I'm going to do a couple fights. I guess Bobby Hitz might have gotten tied up, or he's running late, or whatever. He was supposed to already be here. I haven't heard from him, so we're gonna move forward. So what I want to do is there's a couple of fights, and I was going to break down the Rashidi Ellis and Javier Fortuna fight, but I decided not to because I want you guys to be there. I want you to, if you're in the area, come on out to Mohegan Sun. I want to meet you. I want to see. I love running into the listeners to the show, or any boxing fan, and talk some boxing. I'll be there early, so if you get yourself some tickets, get into the arena as quick as you can so we can have time to talk. But the first fight I'm going to break down is a heavyweight matchup between Lenier Perro, a Cuban fighter, going up against Jordan Thompson. And this fight you can watch on DAZN. I'll be watching it after. I'll be watching the replay because I'll be busy at the Mohegan Sun watching another great Jimmy Birchfield Classic Entertainment Sports boxing event. But Jordan Thompson, so Jordan Thompson is 15 wins, 1 loss. Of his 15 wins, he's got 12 knockouts, and his only loss was a knockout loss. But here's the thing. His loss was in his last fight, and that was when he was fighting Jai Apatea for the IBF World Cruiserweight title. And that fight, boys and girls, was September 30th in 2023. He has not fought in over 2 years. And now he's fighting at heavyweight. He's fought 16 total fights, which happens to be 4 more than his opponent, Perro. He's got 45 rounds under his belt as a pro, which is 3 rounds less than his opponent. He's 6'6", which is a 2-inch advantage over his opponent. But he weighed 198.5 pounds when he fought Opatea. That was 2 years ago. They already have him listed as a heavyweight, which shocks me because usually the computer doesn't do that until you actually fight at that weight. And obviously he has not fought at heavyweight yet. When you look at his, of course, he's not rated by the computer or by anybody else, the WBC, WBO, IBF, WBA, the Ring, ESPN, or Billy C's ratings. But that's because he hasn't fought in 2 years. He had 2 decent wins in 2022 before he got his chance. He actually had 3 decent wins, 2 in 22 and 1 in 23 before he got his shot at the title. In April of 2022, he fought Mariano Angel Godino, who was 14-5, and he blew him away in 2 rounds. He fought in August of 2022. He fought Vasil Ducar, who was 11-5-1. He won a 10-round decision against him. And then his first fight in 2023 was against Luke Watkins, who was 16-2 when they fought in April of 2023. And then that September is when he got this title shot against Opatea and was knocked out in 4 rounds. Has not fought since. Now he steps in the ring with Lenier Perro. Now Perro is 32 years old, and he's 6'4", so he's got a 2-inch disadvantage. Here we're talking about a guy that I'm telling you, the heaviest he fought was 198 pounds 2 years ago. and he's stepping in with a guy that is actually 2 inches shorter than him. But Pero is also a southpaw, and Thompson is a orthodox fighter. When you look at Pero, the computer sees him at number 48. He's not rated by the WBC, the WBO, the IBF, the Ring Magazine, ESPN, or Billy C's ratings. But the WBA mysteriously has him ranked at number 9, which is kind of questionable because the computer usually, I mean, give or take, a couple of spots, even 5-6 spots, you know, and the computer has him at number 48, and WBA has him at 9. So, this guy has never fought. Well, first of all, he's got 12 rounds, 12 fights as a pro, 8 by knockout. 12 fights or 4 less than his opponent. 48 rounds total, or 3 more than his opponent. He's got a 67% knockout ratio. Jordan Thompson, at the lower weight, has an 80% knockout ratio. When you look at Pero's record, in his 4th fight, well, let me go back. In his pro debut, he fought, who I've never seen him fight, but he fought a guy named Maxim Pedura, who had a record of 14 wins, 3 losses, and 1 draw. And this was Pero's pro debut, fighting a 28-fight journeyman. I like that. And he won. He knocked him out in 1 round. This guy, one thing that I admire on Pero's record is he's never fought anyone with a losing record, ever. His opponent's combined records of 105 wins, 45 losses, and 5 draws, which, I give him credit for that. In his 4th fight, he fought a pretty good fighter in Jorge Arias, who was 9 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw, knocked him out in 2 rounds. You jump a couple of fights, and he fought Victor Vikenhurst, who was 11-0 in 2023. He fought him in San Antonio, Texas, knocked him out in the 8th round of a scheduled 10-round fight. Those were the best fighters on his resume as far as, you look at the records. Here's the thing. There's not much more I could say about the fight. Jordan Thompson obviously was offered some money to come out of retirement and fight, and he's stepping in with Pero. I'm picking Pero in this fight, as Coach points out. Pero has a 100-fight amateur career. So, Coach is saying Bobby's at the Rosebud Le Mans. Well, he was supposed to be here. So, whatever. No big deal. The other fight I'm picking, I'm going to break down here and pick, is a real good one. All right. It's a light heavyweight fight. Joshua Buatsi going up against Zach Parker. It's another one that's going to be on DAZN. Butassi's got a record of 19 wins, 1 loss, 13 of his wins coming by knockout. His only loss was a loss this February, decision loss to Callum Smith. He was a former British and Commonwealth light heavyweight champion. He was also I hate to say this, but he was the former WBO interim world light heavyweight champion when he lost his fight to Smith. The computer sees him at number 7. The WBC has him at number 5. The WBO has him at number 6. The WBA and IBF do not have him rated at all. The Ring has him at number 5, and ESPN has him at number 7. And as you know, we had him at, where did we have him at? Number 8. So that's Buatsi. His last 10 fights were all against very good opposition with a record of 9-1. He beat Marco Antonio Periban. He beat Ryan Ford, Marco Kalic, Daniel Dos Santos. He beat Craig Richards, Paul Steppen, Danny Arez, Willie Hutchinson, which was a great fight. I watched that fight. And then he lost to Callum Smith. His next fight is the first fight after his loss, and he's going up against Zach Parker. Now, Zach Parker is also a really good fighter. I don't have him ranked in the Billy C rankings, but his record is 26 wins, 1 loss. 18 of his wins coming by knockout, and his only loss, which was a stoppage loss, came at the hands of John Ryder. And when he lost to John Ryder, that fight was overseas. And this guy, since he lost to Ryder, he's fought 4 times, and he's got a 4-0 record with 2 of his wins coming by knockout. And in those 4 fights, his opponent's combined record, 84 wins, 17 losses, 7 draws. He, too, was a former WBO interim World Super Middleweight title challenger when he lost to John Ryder. Some of his signature wins, well, the computer has him at number 10, IBF number 13, WBA at number 13, WBC at number 11, WBO at number 3. He's not rated for the Ring or ESPN or on Billy C rankings. He's got some decent wins. Darrell Williams, who was 17-0 when he fought him. He won a 12-round decision in 2018. He fought Rohan Murdoch in 2020, stopped Murdoch in the 11th round of a scheduled 12-round fight. Murdoch was 24 wins, 1 loss when he stepped in the ring against Parker. He fought Vaughn Alexander and beat him, stopped him pretty quickly, second round of a scheduled 10. Vaughn was 15-4. And, of course, if you remember Devon Alexander, it was his brother. He also got wins over Marcus Morrison in 2021. He lost his title shot against John Ryder, where he was stopped, couldn't continue after 4 rounds, but then followed that up with 4 wins in a row to set up his fight with Joshua Batasi. He beat Galahad Gordia, stopped him in 7. Beat Tyrone Zuge, who's a tough fighter, 27-1 with a draw. He fought him in Birmingham, England, in March of last year, won a 10-round decision over him. Fought and beat Jack Arnfield. Arnfield was 26-3 when he stepped in the ring in July of 2024. He stopped him in 4. And in his very last fight, which was February of this year, Mikel Dalieo was 21 wins, 1 loss, and 2 draws when Zach Parker beat him by decision. Look, Parker's got 7 more fights, 11 more rounds at 134. He's got a knockout ratio of 69%, just like Butasi has a knockout ratio of 69%. He's a year younger, Zach Parker, at 31. Joshua Batasi is 32. He's 6 foot tall, Zach Parker is. Butasi's got a 2-inch height advantage at 6'2". Their arm reach is about the same, 74 inches for Parker, 74.5 for Butasi. I think this is going to be a real exciting fight, and I honestly believe that one of these, are 50-50 fights. I really think it's a 50-50 fight. Now, when I look at this, I see Butasi's coming off his loss against Callum Smith. It was a decision loss, and that was a good fight. And Zach Parker, he's coming off 4 straight wins since his loss. But although he fought some good opponents, this is a tough one to pick, boys and girls. I'm lost for words, to be honest with you. I like Zach Parker. He's a tough guy. I just think Batasi is going to win this fight. I think it's going to be an exciting fight. And if you've never seen Zach Parker fight, he just never stops coming at you. He's, at times he's a little slow and he stands up straight a little too much. I think Butasi is a guy that feels he's got something to prove. He is a year older. As far as knockouts, I mean, they're both, have plenty of knockouts. Butasi has a 69% knockout ratio, and so does Parker. But Parker's got 19 knockouts to 13 for Butasi, but he's also got, the extra fights, 7 more fights. So I'm picking Butasi in this one. I think it's going to be a close fight. It's a 50-50 fight. I like Butasi in this one. Coach is asking me, who do you got on the Mary Spencer versus Michaela Mayer fight? I don't know. I haven't looked at that fight. So I don't know. I think Mayer is a fighter that there's a lot of fanfare around her. So he says Packers team found Batasi in the barber shop going what? I don't know. Coach is typing so fast I can't even read his typing, So, but in any event, he says, he says Parker's team found Parker's team, okay, found Butasi in the banger shop. Also, going rough, close one for Parker, the burger shop. I don't know, barber shop maybe he's saying, look, it's going to be a tough fight. It's a barber shop. I found him in a barber shop. Okay, so well, I like the fight. They're both going to be on, but the fight I like the best this weekend is the one I'm going to be ringside for. Javier Fortuna is getting another chance at rising up the ranks. He's been a world champion, former world champion. He's stepping in with Rashidi Speedy Ellis at the Mohegan Sun Saturday night. I'm going to be ringside, and I want you guys there too. Listen, again, like last week, I'm going to cut this show a little short. Boxing, not much more news to talk about. That's definitely backed up. I've heard. I will close with the one rumor I heard late this afternoon, and that was that the Mayweather-Pacquiao rematch is under negotiations. I don't know if I believe that, but we'll see. Joel is asking me, did you watch the Manila card this morning on YouTube? No, but I believe that there's one. I saw the results of that. But I believe there's one on early tomorrow morning, unless I missed it, unless that was the one that I was supposed to watch. I think there's one on tomorrow morning on the Zone that starts at like 6 a.m., I believe, 5:55 or something. And that wasn't Joel, that wasn't the Pacquiao card, right? That was this one. Oh, I guess I missed it, huh? This was the Pacquiao card from Manila? This was okay. He's saying that, no, I missed it. I was a day off, so I guess I won't be watching the fight this morning. It was this morning. Joel, you got to remind me, bro. You got to start emailing me again. Tell me when this stuff. I mean, you're in the know. You're in the know, Joel. I wrote it down Thursday. So I guess I was wrong. But anyway, boys and girls, thanks for joining us. Make sure you tune in next week. We'll have another scheduled guest. Hopefully this one shows up. This is actually the first one that we've had not show up, and I'm surprised because Bobby usually likes to come on the show. He's been on my show a couple of times. Next week we're having Boxing Bob. That's right, Boxing Bob Newman from Fight. Whoa, I'm just about ready to give up on my man. And guess who just popped into the chat room? Boys and girls and children of all ages joining us right now is the man, the myth, the legend himself, Bobby Hitz. What's up, my man? I was ready to up on you. How you doing?
How long ago did you send that to me?
I sent it to you 15 minutes. We wanted you on at 6, but hey, it's no problem. I was just
here, but it's only 5:22 my time.
Yeah, but we're on Eastern time. We don't care about your time.
All right. Well, listen. If it's your time and my time, isn't that our time?
It's our time. And
right?
Guess what? We're on.
Isn't Jeff Spicoli say the best, right?
Yeah, listen, it's our time right now. Anyway, Bobby, it's great to see you again.
Yeah.
And
welcome back.
I'm glad that you're back on the show. Would love to have you again and again and again. But Obviously, you were in the heavyweight division, fought as a pro. You had the luxury of having Big George Foreman. You almost made 2 rounds with Big George. What was it like getting hit by him, man?
Listen. That was a total inside job. Let's, there's no way they should have stopped that fight. But, if you watch the tape, I got up. I was fine. They never even sent a doctor in to check me, nothing. Like, I was fine. Everybody knew it. But I had George worried. He was very worried during that fight, in that 1 round. He thought he killed me.
Yeah.
So,
but what, didn't they stop it at like 1 or 2 minutes before the end of the round or something?
No, 1 second, 250.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I'm sorry. I meant 1 second.
Here, listen. I know I can still right now remember everything. I got not my trainer, Pat LaCasa, he told me, do not fight this guy. Move around for 8 rounds. Just move. Don't even fight him. Don't listen. And all of a sudden when the crowd started booing, I'm like, fuck this. Let's just go and see what's up. I mean, I only took the fight on like 4 days notice. So it's like, youth is wasted on the young, holds true in this situation. But I got knocked. I both threw right hands at the same time. I walked into his. I was laying there going, what am I doing down there? I got to get up. And I'm listening to the count. And I got up. And between 9 and 10, I was on my feet. And they stopped the fight. And then I was arguing with the referee, Bobby Watson, who was actually the best referee money could buy. And no, I'm kidding. Bobby was a great guy.
No, yeah, but you maybe you're saying you're kidding, but go ahead.
No, I'm kidding. No, I'm totally kidding. Bobby became a great friend. He was a great guy. I used to tease him all the time. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, Bobby Watson, the best referee money could buy.
Well, listen,
George Foreman was a force, and you know what? I know I could have acquitted myself a lot better, but it would have helped me if I didn't take the fight on 4 days' notice with 0 training. I literally walked off the street and walked in the ring with them. So other guys who had a lot more time than me to train didn't get up. So I was up and I was ready to fight and formed a great friendship with George and got to have dinner with him and Archie Moore afterwards. We had dinner afterwards. And it was a very surreal situation, but he was a hell of a guy. And when he passed, it really was upsetting to me because him and I will forever be attached to one another. And he became a friend with his brother Roy. It was just it was an honor to be in the ring with him. And the story is way longer than how it happened. I was supposed to fight him 4 other times, and
oh, we just are you there, Bobby? It looks like we lost Bobby there. It looks like his phone gave out for a second.
Hey, wait.
There he is.
It just all kind of happened for a reason. So, whatever. It is what it is. I'm at my restaurant. My chef just brought me a beautiful steak pizzaiolo right here.
I wish I was there with you. We could be doing the show there. But hey, listen, that's a great segue into what I want to ask you. Now you got the promoter hat on. You've promoted almost 200 shows. You've been a staple. I call you and I talk about you all the time as being one of the handful of true grassroots promoters that are left. And I feel boxing really is suffering because we don't have many guys like, you and, Jimmy Birchfield, to name a couple. What's it like promoting these fighters today, especially when you just told us the story about how you fought, Hall of Famer George Foreman on 4 days' notice. And I know because I promoted shows how difficult it is, even with young 4-round fighters today. I mean, how are you getting by when these guys are demanding everything? They want half your steak right now just to talk to you about it.
I got to take a bite of this because I'm trying to try this out. Hang on.
We got this would be like a taste test show, What do you think? Is it cooked the right way, Bobby? Is it good?
Beautiful medium. It's We're gonna need a little work. Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's good. It'll pass. It'll pass. Anyways, the modern era fighter is just so much different than the past, and a lot of it not for the good. I mean, the loyalty aspect isn't great. The the willingness to put your skills to a test is few and far between. Um, Most of them want the path of least resistance with with like on a smaller scale. What these 4 round kids want to get paid is, it's just the whole business is out of screw because somewhere down the line, someone on my end decided to pay these guys more than what the market.
Now we keep losing you, Bobby. Yeah, we keep losing Bobby here. He's we're catching him at a dinner. Here, there you go. I keep losing you.
Yeah, my phone keeps ringing, and I'm on this phone, and a million phone calls coming in. Sorry about that.
No problem. But yeah,
I
no,
should,
I know it's
I should have got my little computer out, but
I know it's difficult with the fighters today. 4 round fighters demanding big money, and a promoter like you, how you making it work? Because you're obviously still doing real well. I know you guys. I'm pretty sure your last show you sold out as usual.
yeah.
You get these great fights. Rivalries going a lot, and it's like you have your own little niche, which is great. How do you keep it going? What's the secret?
Just persevere. It's. I sometimes I ask myself, how do I keep this going? Or even more importantly, why do I keep this going? Because it's a thankless job. I'll be honest with you, because no matter what you do, someone's always looking to knock you down. You get most of these guys who are fans, who never have spent a quarter in the sport of boxing, who all of a sudden want to tell you how you should do your job. They've never taken the risk that I take, yet they want to tell you everything you should be doing, and they want to pretty much just pick you apart when they have actually no working knowledge of what it takes to do what I do. And I think it's just really unfair. But that's just our society now as a whole, whether it's being in this restaurant business, and you have, no matter what night it is, you could have 200 food critics sitting in your restaurant because everybody has a phone and everybody has access to one of the apps that you can go and critique a restaurant. And I think it's like kind of unfair unless you've actually been in this business or been in the boxing business, or no matter what you want to do, you should have some actual working knowledge of what it takes to get to where it's at before you actually give your opinion, because that's all it is your opinion. But it's an unfounded opinion, and most of the time it's unfair. Like me as a promoter, whatever fights I put on, if it's the good ones, I get no credit. If it's a bad one, I put a bad fight on. But what they don't understand is that it's not up to me. The only thing that's up to me is me saying yes or no. So when I have a fighter who refuses to fight somebody that can fight back, my only recourse is to just not put him on the show. Other than that, what's ever in that ring, I have to get 2 people to agree to do that. And more often than not, me being able to make good, solid, competitive fights is like seeing Bigfoot. It's very hard to do.
Right.
And we try, and we usually succeed. Our shows are pretty good, but you always got these guys. There's some real jerk off that always comes on Fight News when they post something about me and says all these things, right? And he must be some. I mean, I literally got like a $500 reward if someone could tell me who this guy is. I'll pay $500 for someone who goes by the tag name Bori Mex. Now, some other guy wrote him and said I could figure out who. I don't know who the guy is. It's probably some disgruntled fighter I wouldn't let get into my pocket. But the guy takes great pleasure in always trying to knock you. When here at the end of the day, most fighters don't understand what it is to be a promoter. I have been both on both sides of the fence, right? So I know what it is to be both. So you can just have an idea of what it takes, But if you have never done it or never spent a dime doing it, how do you really talk about it? And that's what makes this job very difficult. Nobody gives you any leeway whatsoever. So it's thankless. I'll be honest with you.
Well, let me ask you this. I know, I mean, for a fact, I was involved with a couple of your shows at TVN. You've been on ESPN, and now boxing has evolved into streaming. Have you been doing any of your events streaming, and do you approach them differently than when they used to, like when ESPN used to come and say, hey, we want you to put on this card? Because obviously the streaming business is a little different. Have you had to change, or is your model the same?
You know what? My model was always a without television type model. So the mere fact, if we got an ESPN or a USA or an HBO, whatever the case may be, that was just an add-on, right? But at the end of the day, if we do some streaming with BXNG TV, Adam Glenn does our streaming, but it's just something like I get nothing out of it. It's not any, I do it because he asked me to do it, but it's something I don't seek out, and because usually when television's involved or any type of entity like that, like what's the upside? Because that's a whole other aspect of the business you have to take care of. It's not like you're going to sell, you know, 5 million pay-per-views to go see one of these shows. So it's like the amount of time you have to go putting into it, the manpower it takes, and all that. I let someone else do it, and I really don't even get involved in that because it's not, like I don't want everything. I just want to do my show and be done. Whatever other parts that come along with it, let them deal with it. So I let Adam deal with his end of the business, and he's probably putting a book of business together that he'll go off and sell the content someday, and I'll get nothing for it, and that's
Well,
it. So,
well, the value. You're right. A lot of these guys think they put a pay-per-view on, whether it's a stream or whatever, they're going to sit back and collect the money. That's not the case because
no,
most people want to try and find a free way to watch it anyway. But
right,
where they can come in handy, especially for your type of shows, is to develop viewership where you could eventually sell sponsorships for when you have the numbers, because what you have is rare these days, where because most of your cards are very competitive, like you mentioned earlier. Yeah, okay, you get a stinker bout here and there,
right.
but the rivalry sometimes, even though the masses might not know the names or whatever, the rivalries is what sells. And when you see somebody and they want to see that guy again, that's where a stream could help. But in any event, I was just curious if you changed your model.
No,
It's been working for so long.
I've always existed without television, like I said. But at the end of the day, the manpower it takes to be able to put that together, it's a whole other entity of the business that I'd have to pass off to somebody else to do. And it's like, I just try to run light and tight. That's what, because, it's so hard. I find myself being more of a secretary nowadays than a boxing promoter because of all the paperwork that you need to put together in order to do these shows. We end up chasing paperwork rather than promoting a show for the commission. So it's like, who has time to worry about a television thing? And as far as the sponsors go, I mean, let's face it, how many sponsors really care? I mean, I'm lucky I have the sponsors I have because of my relationships, because they know what I put together. But at the end of the day, when you go cold calling sponsors, it's a very, very, very difficult proposition. This isn't for everybody.
100%. I know it. I know it personally. Let me tell you. But hey, Bobby,
It's
when's
salty.
your next show?
It's salty. And
When's your next show?
I love my chef. He says, I go, it's a little salty. He goes, no, it ain't. I guess I'm lying to you.
He says it's not when you're eating it.
Exactly. Yeah. How do you like that?
He's
How do
like
you
a
like that?
4-round. What is that?
It's like a 4-round fighter. It's like a 4-round fighter.
He's like
Yeah.
a 4-round fighter demanding
Yeah.
$3,000 for 4 rounds. Come
Yeah.
on.
So,
But when's your next show, Bobby?
January. So I'm off for the rest of the year. January will be my next event, and I right now it looks like I'm January, February, March, and I believe June. That's kind of my short list right now. So and then we'll go from there.
Well, that sounds good, my man. And
Yeah.
I got to get back out there. I don't know if you remember, you had a ESPN card. I think it was at the Horseshoe? Was there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we did. We were there and we did interviews next to ESPN. ESPN broadcast your event.
Yeah.
I was there with LDL TV, and
Right.
we had a good time there. That was fun. But
Salty, right?
yeah, no, I don't know. I didn't taste it. Well, you're passing it around. Whoever's around is going to tell you it's salty.
No. Go ahead. These are independent. These are independent witnesses.
These are independent taste tests for your steak. Hey,
So,
listen,
when you're doing, in the restaurants, like you have to try products, you have to see what works. So every day we try to make something new to see how it works, and it's like, it's salty, right? 100%, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
hey, if I come out there again, you let me. I'm a fat bastard.
Hey,
You
listen. All my
you let
food
me
is always really good. All my food's really good, but usually when I make it, it's really good.
Well,
But
hey, you know what I say. My grandmother always said, "Don't put too much salt in. You can always add the salt."
right, exactly.
You know? But listen, Bobby, keep me in touch.
I will.
Keep in touch with me. Let me know when your next shows are.
I will.
I'll try and get out there, and would love to have you back on. Maybe from as soon as you get the dates set, you come
Yeah,
back.
I'll have
on.
those put together. Yep. I'm just signing some good fighters. I think we're gonna make 2026 would be a good year for us.
Well, good. We need the grassroots promoters to take
Yeah.
the forefront
And
again.
listen, I just like to have fun and joke around, and like I don't take life serious. I don't take anything serious. I take my food serious because it's important. But
Hey.
outside of that, this boxing stuff, it's just let's have a nice time, do a nice show. Everybody walks away happy. We're good, So like that's what it's all about. Everybody comes out safe.
No, that's the name of the game.
And remember, $500 reward for anybody that could find out who Bori Mex is. He's always on Facebook. Not Facebook, I'm sorry, on fightnews.com commenting. $500 reward. No questions asked. Just give me the name.
Well, we'll get to the bottom of it because I just announced who our guest is next week happens to be tied in with them. So we will work on that for you, my man.
All right,
But,
thanks.
I appreciate you coming on and stay in touch. Not just Facebook. You got all my other contacts.
I got everything. Yeah, we'll definitely get together soon.
All right, Bobby. Be
Thank
good.
you, my friend. Thank you.
Right. Take
Bye
care.
now. Bye. Bye.
That's Bobby Hitz from Hitz Boxing. I was ready to didn't think he was going to make it, but yes, there was a time difference. But anyway, and they're trying a new menu item for his restaurant, and it was a little salty if you caught that. But anyway, hey, boys and girls, great way to end the show. Bobby Hitz from Hitz Boxing. He's going to keep us posted on his next event. Another true grassroots promoter. I like having him on. We had Jimmy on. We'll have Jimmy on again. I love Jimmy Birchfield. And we'll get Joe DeGuardia back on. Some of these promoters that, you guys might not have heard of, but without these guys, a lot of these young fighters wouldn't have a vehicle to build up their records and become known. But anyway, hey, make sure you tune in next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, I'll leave you with this. Ciao, baby.